see. I'm live. Is that awkward moment when you have to check that everything's on? I think it's on. Good evening. Ian, sorry. It's the weekend. You have to loosen up. There we go. I hope you've had a good weekend. Anyone that decides to watch, I'm sorry that the stream is up a bit late. It's been a very interesting week and a very interesting night, but don't worry, I'm going to start the night off properly because I thought tonight, you're on a new stand, by the way. There's a new stand. Hopefully a build video will be coming out this week for the stand. So hopefully that makes a difference. A lot of hopes and dreams happening here. What else has happened? I've had one of these apart tonight. I'll talk about it later, but this one is working now. But a very interesting mechanism for this speed controller. I thought it would be a lot more complicated than it was, but I think my faith in capitalism has been restored when I realized how simple it was. So yes, what else is going on? There's been a little bit of a rearrangement, and I'm trying to find where I've put everything, as you do with rearrangements. I'll just put the blower down there. But everything is still here in some guise or another. The supercomputer is still lighting Jesse J. So hello from the supercomputer. And mining Bitcoin and shares in Twitter once Lord Electric Jesus takes over. Right, what was I going to do? Oh, that's right. I'll just move the remnants of this second blower. So these are from the workshop at work, and one of them was found in pieces, and the other one wasn't working much. So I was tasked with, could I make 1 out of 2? So I have done that, but then down the rabbit hole of trying to fix the other one. Not that I'm a big fan of Makita things, but you know, everything has its place, I suppose. So what I've got planned for tonight is, I do own some Makita things. It's probably next to DeWalt. I have one of these. I have a Makita caffeination system. So what I thought I'd do, I'll see if I can tilt the camera down. See, I haven't thought this through at all, have I? I'm going to produce some caffeinated goodness from my Makita caffeination delivery system. So what I should do, I don't know. Can you see you can't really see the bench. Oh, there you go. You can see down there now. I have some caffeinated granules, and that's the thing that I'll yammer on about later. If you hear a ping later on, it will be this that has gone ping and will never be found again. Right, so caffeinated granules for the overlords at Makita. Does it matter? Well, I'm drinking from it, so it doesn't matter if I put it down on a filthy workbench. Now, I don't actually. A clever person would have planned, but I didn't. So I'm just going to. There we go. That seems about it. Oh, it smells nice. It is Irish cream coffee, and is it on? I think it's there, right? And then we've got there's a light on the front. I don't know if we'll be able to see the light up. Now I'll flip the top up and pour in, as the French say, the water. I haven't used this in about a year. Oh, and there's lots of sawdust in there. That will make for an interesting tasting coffee. And then I'll put my coffee receptacle down there and engage caffeination. So while waiting, I'll just lift that back up and see there is no one watching and no one in the chat, so no one has missed it. Oh no, there's people watching. There's people. Well, maybe there's people watching. Hello, people watching. Caffeination is engaged. I have brought milk. Oh, it's making caffeination noises. What else has gone on? The printer is merrily. The printer that was here is now right over there, which I can't show you now because the camera's in a fixed location. But I have ordered a boom arm for the Potato Vision webcam, and I'm hoping when I'm doing things on the bench I can hang up on the shelf that's up there and then point it straight down on the bench, or I could just record it and just sort of get the laptop and just sort of do that and just be animated hands, which I'd be more happy with, to be honest. Oh, and caffeination is happening, and it definitely smells like caffeination, which is good. And I have nowhere to put the container of caffeine, my caffeine receptacle. So that's all right. We'll work something out. So I hope you've all had a lovely week. It was an interesting week. I might be a bit gingerly. I've hurt my back, I think, with my offsider, and I say my offsider because we are each other's offsider. And in fact, my offsider's been there longer than I've been there. I'm his offsider, he's my offsider. That's how it works. Had a fall at work, and I tried to help him up, and I might have twisted something, and it's a little bit gingerly, sort of standing, sitting, moving, turning, leaning, lying. But that's okay. It's not sort of agony. It's just sort of you stand up and go. That's working. That's working well. So what was I? Oh yeah, this. I thought the speed control, while caffeination is happening, I thought the speed control on this Makita blower would be a very technical, a very technical affair. You can hear it. Oh, it's nice and clicky. What it is, and maybe they've improved it since then, but all the speed control in this unit is done in the switch, and there is a little cam sort of half circle with a flat on it that just restricts how far the switch can go back. So the clicking just changes something on the bottom of this little. I'm going to try and remove it without it going ping. I'll try and pull it out. So this is it here. And you can see it's got a flat on it. And as you turn it, so if you turn it to 1, it goes down like that, and the switch hits this part at the bottom. And then if you turn to 2, it goes like that, and the switch can just sneak past and it hits a different bit. And then when you turn to 3, it goes like that, and the switch can pass completely underneath it, and you get full speed. So that's restored my faith in capitalism, because that has to be the cheapest, nastiest way you could do it. I mean, anyway. Funnily enough, this was the housing. This was the broken one, and I glued it back together, but this was so full of dust, and this was the one that worked. So obviously the Achilles heel of the Makita blower is cleaning. Never ever clean it. Oh heck, now I'm going to try and put this back in. Oh, that's upside down. Oh, you can see it's angled. Look, if I sort of, I need something behind it for Jessie J. Come here. If it's sort of, show it like that. Oh, that was a good angle. Do it like that. You can see it's on a slight angle. So as it's flattened and it sort of turns like that, it blocks off, and then it lets it go past a little bit, and then it lets it go past all the way. So that's how it works. Thank you, Jessie J. And then it's got these 2 little pins. It's a bit washed out. Oh, there they are. The 2 little pins there. They just sort of let it rock back and forth to the stop. But it's good when someone who's a bit ham-fisted like me goes to put this back together, because Oh, no, nearly lost it. Because it does mean that I would have a much harder time losing it. So I think I'm in two minds as to the fault, though, because the motor ran really slowly. I think either this diode might be in play, but if this is just an overcurrent protection, it's probably not. Or whether the contacts in the switch are just a bit grimy and full of sawdust. I mean, the whole thing was full of very fine sawdust, and this is 9 years old. It's going to get like that. But very simple to put together. I mean, that's it. That's of the electrical stuff in it. That's it. It's a switch, and this switch is about $45 to buy new. So I wouldn't want to take a gamble that I'm right. Probably, if you replace that, it would probably work. So what I'll do is I'll try and patch up the other housing with some epoxy while it's in bits, because the issue I had was I couldn't really glue it back together because I'd run the risk of gluing the two halves of the clamshell together. So now that it's apart, I'll bag up all the pieces, knowing that it's not that hard to put back together. And then I will, in fact, I'll find a bag. Somewhere in here, in this drawer, there are some bags. That's an anti-static bag. That's fine. I don't mind if it's anti-static. And I will just put all the springs and bobbins and pieces in, and the screws. All the screws are the same, which is good. And then I might be able to rescue 2 blowers, which would be good. And ready. Oh, didn't ping. So I'm just going to put all that in there, put it on a shelf, and maybe in 5 years I'll get to it. There you go. Look at the impeller. The impeller's, it's like a little turbocharger, a little snail. And then I've got to pack this out with epoxy in those where it's cracked there. You can just see. So that's the plan. Because I couldn't well let all the weight is on this individual piece, the weight of the motor's there, that's the main thing. And of course, attached to this is then the outer housing and the big extension one. So it's a hell of a lever and the pivot point to everything. So it needs some mechanical support, not just super glue. Caffeination has completed. And I have one complete cup of caffeination with some nice floaters in it, but that's okay. Irish cream caffeination. Milk that's nearly at the use-by date. Oh, look at that. If only I had some kind of stirring. Oh, hang on, I do. Look. No, not that one. There we go. I found a use for these awkward cable ties now. Look. Stir it with a cable tie. Lovely. Is there any water left? Oh, very little. That's okay. There we go. Oh, don't drink the sawdust. Here's to good health. It is good. There's no biscuits in here, though. That's okay. And I've just looked over to the other computer to think, oh, maybe I could have the chat open, but I can't because there's only one network cable and I need some kind of. I'm cheap, and I should have plugged it into a switch and then had more, but I don't. Never mind. Yummy. I'll just swap over tabs for a second. Something's going on in the world. Ooh. Right. Okay. I don't know what's going on. But the sawdust is tasty. It'd be hard not to drink the sawdust in here. It's everywhere. The sawdust and the lead-based solder that has just been used. But at least doing this job, I got to use the doll. I may have been a bit too excited about that. In fact, last week I went to go and do a job and I brought this and I was actually really disappointed that I couldn't do the job that I was going to do. Never mind. That's it. What is that? Oh, so yeah, that I brought those to do a job last week, and I thought they'd be right, and that's why I had that. And then it turns out these screws were nowhere near long enough. But that's okay. No heated jacket because it's been warm. It is quite warm in downtown bumfudge nowhere. And here's to the Bianco group that have bought our local hardware store. I hope you do well. Hopefully you don't have the same unprecedented levels of theft and need to keep all the tools locked away in a cage. This is the same hardware store that did have their truck stolen on Boxing Day. Right, and the truck was parked inside the shop. So, yeah. That is good caffeination. Very nice. Well, I was actually planning on doing that on the stream, but I can't. I'd have to still keep working with the things. What else is happening? Oh, I should get the things. I'll get things. Not only for the people watching now, but for anyone else that might watch later. They can see the things, the other things. I'm just going to move my Makita caffeine unit, my coffee stirrer, out of the way. That is because to me that's the most useless size of zip tie. It's too big to use for the 3D printers, and it's too small to use for anything practical, apart from maybe if I, got a snake bite and had to apply a tourniquet to a pinky. That's about it. So, coffee stirrer it is. Sedimenty goodness. All right, I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'll get the other things. One moment. There we go. One more bit. There we go. So the printer is currently making a new version of this, which is a router template for the coffee trays. What's happened with the coffee trays? Well, I'm very glad that you asked, none of you. What has happened with the coffee trays is that in the last week, without talking too much about work, some of the students decided they didn't want to do theory to finish off their unit and would rather get in the workshop and do something practical. So I showed them these, and I said, I've got some blanks cut to make some of these. Would you like to make them? And they said, yeah. So I have blanks for 2 cup holders. These are just offcuts of wood. These are oak, Fijian oak, I believe, and you can see they are a bit warped, but it's all made from scrap. So oak coffee cup holders and mostly pine and mostly 19mm or 3/4 Freedom Unit pine. So we have 4 cup holders that are 19mm, but there were also some 4 cup holders that were about 12mm, I think, maybe 10, maybe 9.5. And so we basically had a production line going on. I had a student marking them out with a combination square set, and because they're square, the marks are the same on all sides. So you basically hold the square, mark, flip it around, mark, flip it around. And you just keep going until you've got all of them marked where they cross over. Then somebody on a drill press doing pilot holes with a 3mm bit, they hand them over to the person doing and the person doing the marking out also radius these, and then they would either, if the bank was too much for the person doing the hole saw, because that's usually the longest part, some of them will go to the hole saw person who will pop through the 4 hole saw holes, or if that is not happening, they will go to the bandsaw where somebody will cut the 4 corners, and then they'll go over to the disc sander where they sort of, they'll ease over the edges, and then they can go over to the router table where somebody will round over the outside and ease over the 4 holes, both sides. So it became a very good exercise in branching, which would be something that I would probably talk about with, I keep saying I shouldn't talk about school, but I teach coding, and that's where you can actually have 2 teams that, if this circumstance happens, then you do that. If this circumstance happens, you do that. Otherwise, you do this. So you can branch off into 3 different directions and try and keep everything moving as one would hope is possible. So yeah, it's been good. I've been happy. Now, some of these, although they're the same outside dimension, the holes have been done differently. I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think, to be honest, what's happened is that people doing these have guessed where these outside holes go, or they've bumped the square, or they've tried to set it, they've tried to remember where it was, but they're equidistant, so that's okay. They're not all like that, but there are a few. That one's pretty good. That's a good one. That one's a bit uneven, but it's within the realms. It'd be interesting to see if you could sort of spot the errors getting bigger. Like, I almost think that error is probably on the way to that error. That might be the start of the bigger, and it appears to be the start of the bigger errors. Those ones are pretty good. So yeah, that was the original prototype. That was just too big, but what that size has led me to do, and this is from a woodworking channel called Woodwork Web with Colin Kinnett, is to have a template and a bowl cutting bit on a router for when you have this, and basically you can sit this over the top. I'll probably say flush it up with the bottom there, and then route out in here, and you'll get a nice sort of little channel, a little groove cut in there where you can have your 2 drinks and your slice of cake or whatever, or even just somewhere that's basically the right size to put your phone, while you're carrying it. And that way it's recessed in there. It's not just balancing precariously. And the size of the one I've done for these is modeled exactly on the 4 cup holders that you get at McDonald's. And I have taken my prototype. I've taken my prototype to some local cafes and tried the cups in it as a sort of sneaky guerrilla tactic over the last few weekends. And all the cups fit. I was worried that the hole saw might actually be too big, especially for the small cups. And then also too small on the big cups, sort of, I don't want a cup to sit in it like that and be really tippy, but you also don't want it to fall through. And even for these keep cups, you can see it fits all right. Of course, wherever it grips, the cups down here are going to be on different levels. So when you go to put it down, you kind of have to have a table to put it on, or you have to ask people, but it's got a nice grip on it that you can hold on to it and have people take their drink out. The other idea is to have either a hole here, like a thumb hole to grab onto, or a channel front and back with the router. The other thing I thought about doing was actually having on this big one a groove in it that your mobile phone could sit in, so that your child can watch Peppa Pig while you are at the cafe, or even in the center there. And it's something that I thought could be a go. So the plan is that because they're all made of scrap, a 4-cup holder is going to be $10. A 4-cup holder, which would look like that, made of oak, will be $15. Not because I pay extra for the wood, I don't, but oak is really hard on machines, on hole saws and on router bits. It does shorten the life of them, and so that, I think, is just being echoed in the price. And then the 2-cup with the pocket would also be $15, only because that is a lot more time intensive, because not only do you have to produce the template for it, but you've got to route it out. It's a specialized bit. It's on order. It was about $50, so eek. And you can, you've got to route that all out and then sand it. So it's extra work. It takes more time, even though they're made out of scraps. And I'm hoping in the holidays to have maybe an Etsy store set up, or a Squarespace store, at least to put the name out there. And the name is going to be the Crappy Wooden Workshop, but it will be crappy with an S in front of it to be scrappy, but with the S crossed out, so it's crappy. But people will probably call it the Scrappy Wooden Workshop, which is fine. One lady asked her son, has an oven with no console, could you make one to fit in his car? Maybe. I don't know. Possibly. It's kind of hard with no console. It might be, he might just need to have a friend to hold them. That's terrible, isn't it? So the printer is currently printing the next version of this, because the problem with this was that these two blocks were too close together to go around this piece of wood. You can see that they stick in too far. This distance between those, the inside of those, was 200, and I actually decided to make these 210, just because then it's the same width as an A4 piece of paper. Teachers work in A4, so I could have either cut 5 mil off of each side, but then it probably gets a bit too small to hold a drink. And is this one? No, this one. Look at the crack in the side of that. This, I'm sure during the machining process, this one is going to split, because it's got a great big split down here. And then when I flip it over, it's got a great big split down there. So I think when this one has the bowl routed out of it, this one's going to break. But there you go. It's a test. I've got access to lots more. And the good thing is now people are looking around, and anything that is 21 by 21 or bigger, or I should say anything that is that size or bigger, which is 21 by, I think it's 115. I think it's 210 by 115. I think, or it could be 210 by 110. Or it might be it might be 210 by 105, because I'm quite sure that what I did was actually just go to 210 and split it, just for ease of knowing what I'm doing. Is getting saved, it's getting thrown in the pile, and then as a new batch of people come along that want to do something that is hands-on and not just waiting for their turn to do the next part of their trays that they make, then they can do that, which is good. And it's something that it's a green, the green economy, the greenwashing of our local economy, and it's something that it's a hands-on experience, and it's an idea for a mode of production. Anyone else can make these. It's not hard. So if somebody wanted to make them and they wanted to sell them for less than me because they can make them cheaper, I mean, I've considered. My thought was to just make them out of any scrap that I could get. So if I've got pieces of MDF, plywood, oak, jarrah, whatever, the only difference in price would be is how hard that material is on your tools. That would be all. Other than that, I don't mind. Don't mind at all. And if you get jigs, make-up jigs to do these kind of things, a router table would be amazing. Having a router table at work makes this job so much easier because I've done it with a palm router the last few weeks, and I've had a couple of hairy experiences that have let me know that I need to make a router table as my next big project. I'd love to have like a Craig table or something, but $900 before you buy a router that's another $500 to go in it, and I just don't have the space out there. So in the upcoming projects, there's a wall out there. In fact, there's two walls, 1.5 walls, that need to be insulated and lined. And since I have a large piece of plywood in the back of the van that I didn't end up using on the air conditioner removal, that's where it's going to go. And probably a router table build of some description. I have got the little Azido benchtop router table, but the problem with that is that the router that you have to buy to put in it, the Azido router, you need two hands to sort of compress it to set the depth, and then you need a third hand to lock that depth, and then you need a fourth hand to get the cord out of the way, because the cord sticks down like that, and then there's a bench top there, and so it lifts the whole table up. It's just, I don't know if anyone at Azido actually used it or thought about maybe they should use it first. If the cord came out at a 90 degree with some kind of, what do they call those things? It's like a bearing where your cord goes through, a slip ring, maybe that kind of thing. But of course, in a $90 router or whatever, probably not. But yeah, so a router to go in a router table is expensive, as is the router table. So what I will probably do is buy a semi-nice router, or repurpose my Azido one and put it in a bench that is heavy enough that I don't need to compress it down. The other idea I had was a screw-type car jack. And just wind the car, that way you can unlock it, wind it up till it's where you want it, and obviously the car jack's going to provide pressure the whole time. Don't know how that'll go on the back casing of a router. Worth trying, I suppose, if it's otherwise that thing's not going to get used. So that's maybe I'm getting tired of having to reinvent the wheel for that kind of stuff. But, money don't grow on trees, and first world problems. Then obviously I want to fill that with some epoxy. That might even be a post-stream job tonight, just to reinforce that housing. And then I might pull this switch apart, because I think, I don't know, that I can't see that diode. If a diode goes, a diode directs current, doesn't it? So if the diode's gone, it's just not going to work at all. I would have thought if I cut one leg of that diode off, it just wouldn't work at all. So I think this switch, obviously it's got this copper plate and then a screw, but it is a clip-on switch. It's a clip-together unit. I would wonder, of course, I'm going to have to take it apart and hope that it does not go boing and spring apart. But if it does, well, I already fixed the other one. I might keep this and use it for harvesting some Makita batteries and powering things off of Makita batteries that maybe shouldn't be. Oh, and that cable was pinched. There's a nice little pinch in it there. But I have a feeling that it probably could be saved. And the motor, everything stinks of ballastol in here now. Thanks, Grant. It is good stuff. But I actually sprayed copious amounts of stuff in the motor. And it sounds less like a sawmill, but also very notchy. Very, very notchy. And I don't think the other one was anywhere near it could just be the motors. Absolutely just had its day. It could be the motor is just kaput. Ugh. Look at this. Makes you realize you're very happy to have lots of pairs of old underpants lying around to clean up all the grossness on a motor. But hey, if not, I'm sure Scott's Vac Shack will love to have this motor to hook up to things. That'd be the other thing. If I had another, I wonder if I should do that. I could probably get some spade connectors and some alligator leads and just hook this up to another 18-volt battery. If I hook it up and this motor spins its chops off, then I know the motor's okay. And if I hook it up and it still sort of goes and at low speed, then I'll know that it's foobar and that it's not worth it. But I mean, the windings all look fairly good. Doesn't appear to be any kind of, it's just some sort of looking through into there. I mean, it all kind of, everything's spinning freely. It doesn't look like it's corrosion related unless it's just full of junk. I thought maybe it was full of sawdust or something, or general muck, but it appears not. What else? We've got school holidays coming up, which will be fun. Reports still to finish, but that's okay. Fortunately, they were handed in on time, as is usually the case. The world didn't end, which is usually the case as well. So happy days there. Now this has got a, no, it's only got one. I thought, no, that's the back. That's why, James. Ugh. I might just clean up the back a bit more. Clean up. It's got these little cable housing clips, so that's how you know. That goes on the back for the terminals of those cables to come out that way. So those spade terminals go on there and then come down and just keeps them down the side of this. And then one goes down the side of there, which means I have to line that up with that. There you go. I don't think there's any. No. No, I don't really see how I'd get this off. I would probably need something along the lines of like a bearing puller or something, and I just don't have that. You know, once it gets down to that, unless that is a replaceable unit or the switch is a replaceable unit, it's good not Irene for me. I wonder if I could hook up the benched up power supply, couldn't I? That's an idea. I mean, obviously anything over how many volts, and it will, you know, if it's working, then that points to the switch. But I don't know. I might just pull apart the switch. Should we pull apart the switch? Let's pull apart the switch. Yeah, well, I know it's not arcing and sparking. It's definitely just it spins. It spins at the same pace that I run. Funnily enough, let's have a look in here. I might take off this screw and then hear ping, and then it'll be over anyway. But this, like I say, this is one to play with. It's a very long screw that must go through both halves of the housing. Oh, is that for? It looks like it's got a heatsink compound. So is this for heat dissipation? I guess then probably somewhere in here is some kind of resistor, which maybe is how the speed control works. But I don't know, because I'm not that clever. I'm just going to go and get a little flat-bladed screwdriver without hitting my head. You know what I might do is take one of the many free airport base stations I've been given over the years, and maybe set one up in here, and that way, in the next stream, We could have Wi-Fi. That'd be good. Come on. Where is it? I'm trying to not steal all of Big Clive's ideas, but oh, here we go. We might be about to learn its secrets. Oh, it's got a board in it. Oh, might be coming unstuck here. After me accusing it of being simplistic because of its speed selection mechanism, I might be. Oh, I've just pushed it back together. Come on. Give up your secrets to me. Oh, there we go. Oh, maybe that's the. There we go. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Well, my hope of it being a very simple mechanical thing, that's really gone by the wayside. It is not. It's got a wee module. Is it? No, it doesn't come out with. I wonder if you have to. It couldn't be that simple, could it? That this gets bent up so the thing can push out. That would be quite funny. Oh, and of course, these will be. So I'd need to desolder these to get any sort of access. No. And of course, there. It's sort of moving. But there's nothing on here that really looks. I have to get a magnifier. And of course, to get the magnifier, I've got to move a giant pile of half-made coffee trays. Hold on. So I'm rubbish with electronics. Is this a little voltage regulator? Is that what that is? If I'm very careful. It just looks like there's. That's a little diode there. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure that's a little diode. I think this is a voltage regulator. And the heat sink, obviously, it's dissipating voltage as heat, isn't it? Hence the need for the compound there. So that looks okay. It doesn't look like anything's untoward here. So it could well be that this is okay, and the motor has gone potty. I mean, it's got a bit of crap in it, but it's, you know, most of it just seems to be generic schmutz. There is, although there's some oxidation over here on the. So your battery voltage comes in here, and it's going through this resistor. I'm guessing it's a 471 tiny little surface mount resistor. There is some oxidation there, but it's not It's not tremendous. So, I mean, I'm not, like I say, I'm not Big Clive here, so I can't really, and I hope I'm showing this well enough. So the voltage is coming in here. It's going through this resistor, and then it comes up to this pin up here. Where it goes then, it's kind of hard to see where it's come through. We've got there's obviously an in and an out through this, and then this is our, I think our center is probably common. It's probably the ground. But then again, no, it could be this side, because this side just seems to go. Yeah. I don't know. It all looks quite clean. Apart from that, I probably just, oh, look, I've just snapped a solder joint. So now I have to fix that, won't I? There you go. Well, why don't I do that? That might be what's wrong. Maybe that was brittle. Maybe that's what it was doing. Never mind. Switch on the soldering iron, and I will demonstrate. Sorry, my arm in the way. Demonstrate my wonderful soldering skills to the internet at large. Excuse me, caffeination device. See, that's what happens when you use unreasonable force on an object such as that. I can probably just bridge that with some solder, I think. I say that with all confidence. I might not be able to. And this might just be the death of the unit anyway, but we'll see. Because what I can always do is hook it up to the motor and just put the battery on it and just see if it works. If it doesn't do anything, well, I know it didn't do anything. How funny would it be if I fixed it? That'd be great. But who knows? I better be careful, though, because this motor... I might move that out of the way, because the motor is... Fumey ballastol. So while that's hooking up, oh my gosh. Variable resistor, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd try and... What have I got that I can hook it up with? Unfortunately, I can't really... This is why I should make some little... Oh, I know what Oh, hang on, have I? Maybe I do. No. No, that's not going to do it. See, what I was thinking is I could have hooked it up to a, even to just a LiPo, but I'm not to film another one. I will have to think about this. It's probably just meant that I now know I need to get some more spade connectors to be able to do this properly and do it with any kind of justice. I will hook it up to a supply. Two nails and some spit, maybe. This is hot. Ooh. Oh yeah, the lead solder. All right. Now I'll try to solder this. Is she together? Is she suitably bridged? that's hot. I think she might be. I could use a meter, couldn't I? I could do a continuity test. There we go. I'll get my meter and I'll set it to make an annoying sound. Everyone has to do that. That is the equivalent of, yep, works. That's what that is. I'd say it works. I've saved that bit. Well, I haven't saved it. I just haven't killed it. That's all right. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like there's much that I can do in there other than, nothing looks like it's knackered. Apart from maybe putting some more thermal grease on there, but I don't think I have any. I can see if I can, without hocking a big loogie in it. When someone's blowing something out and you suddenly hear that very moist sound. I've done that a lot in my time. That didn't go well. Now they bented that way, I think. Did they bent it that way? I think they did. Click. Good pump action. All right. Well, there we go. I don't know. Will she chooch? Maybe. At least that bit worked. All right. I'll try and find something. That's what live things are all about. You just try and womble it together and see if it works. Let me see what I've got. Unfortunately, this live stream will just descend into how much mess I have. This is a new heated bed for the CR10. We just moved that away. The tidying up stream was a couple of weeks ago. More printer stuff. Hello. I can never tell the difference between a voltage regulator and a MOSFET, but a MOSFET is apparently a variable resistor, according to my electronically literate people that I know. And I know at least 3 of them. But I can't remember which one told me that. What I'm hoping is that the box that I need isn't the one that's the furthest away, but that feeling you get? I'm getting that feeling. Oh, come on. I just need some spade connectors. That's all I need, dang it. 2 spade connectors, and I can be set. Who'd have thought 2 spade connectors would be my undoing? Yeah. It's looking unlikely that I have said pieces, which is unfortunate. I'm not one to give up. I will keep looking. Talk among yourselves. The thing is, I was looking for that. And what will happen is I'll find it tomorrow and go, why the bloody hell is that left out, and throw it back in a drawer, and I'll lose it again for another 6 months. No. Okay, this is going to take significant movement, and it may not pay off. Right, because I've got this. Oh, that's not good. Oh god, this is actually going to take quite an effort. Oh, jeez. Ow. All right, come on. Come on. Yep, no. All right, I'll just tear up the floor. I don't need the floor. See you later, floor. All right. I thought the print would be finished by now. Oh, yeah, it's so much smoother. Okay, let's double check in here. Oh my God. Maybe. No. Although that is a couple bits of wire, that might be handy. I have to worry about the grade of wire that I use on these things, but then you look at the thickness of the wire that they use in such devices, and you think, why was I worried? All right, so then I'm going to get this one along. If you are seeing my butt now, I do apologize. Oh, this has got a Kirby piece on it. All right. Oh, let's come on. There we go. There we go. Ah, I've been looking for those as well. All right. Spade connectors. I've been looking for these box handles everywhere. I'm going to go quickly put these where they actually are needed. Not actually. I'm just going to put them on my chair, and then I'm going to sit on them in a minute for your entertainment. Do I want red ones out? Yeah, I want red ones and blue ones. Of course I do. Don't be silly. Now, right. I'll put them up there. Go on that and that. And I want some of them. And a perforator. Somewhere I've got slightly less shitty crimp tool than that. All right. So let us see. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So what I need. Oh, I need a battery. Hold on. Get bateria. I could solder it on, but I'm not going to. I'm just battery that I don't care about that much. Thank you, Azito. It's got a positive and a negative on it, so that should be fine. Oh man, if only these were spade things, I could just put it straight in. Oh no, that won't matter. Oh, hang on. Oh, how good would that be? Negative. That's on the right side. Oh, it doesn't fit. You get one in, not the other. So what I'll probably do is just alligator clips, right? That's what we want. Awesome. Oh, don't tell me I have to get it back out to get different. No. I don't need different spade things. I'm just going to get something. Something will work. Hold on. What are all these ones for? This is turning into a far bigger thing than it was supposed to be. But now I don't want to leave it alone. Now I want to know. Okay. These just jam in. course they won't. But they will go in there. So that's okay. 1. And dos. Right. So there's the start. You've been using my good wire for this. Oh, nearly put on the wrong one. That would have been bad. Crimp face. Oh, print is finished. That lets me know the stream's gone on longer than it was supposed to. And crimp face. Okay. Alrighty. That's a start. And need some flipping things, don't I? Well, I can move this now because that's tonight in the live stream I move boxes around. That's all you're getting tonight. You're just getting me moving boxes. Stop. That's not gone well. That's gone even worse. And this is where the giant spiders live too, under this bench. So you've been warned. So what I need to just connect them to the motor, don't I? So really, if I got those two on the battery, these two on the motor, I think that'll be okay. I think it'll work. Alligator clips in case it doesn't. All right. Will this actually work? When will the stream end? Oh God, it's well, I started late. So I guess I'm going to finish late. Okay. Right. I could, but I won't. I'm just going to do this the old cheap and nasty. There we go. And crimp face. There we go. All right. And we'll see what happens when you just put a pure unadulterated 18 volts across it. Oh, that wasn't very good. Snips. Oh, twang. Am I at the point in my life where I can make these and not need to test them for continuity to make sure I can actually make these? I don't know. I suppose if I put them across the motor and they do nothing, then I'll know to check that I can actually make a simple cable. All right. Here we go. Negativa. All right. Oh, hold on. This could go well. Better turn off the soldering iron in case I have to flinch with miraculous speed. And all right, there we go. There we go. Okay, that definitely chooched. That was some definite choochage. Chooch action. I wonder if I can I mash this smaller? What if I just sort of, oh, just making me get all the other tools. It's really annoying. All right. Try and mash this bit smaller. All right. When life hands you lemons, get bigger pliers. Oh, that's better. Ready? 3, 2, 1, chooch. That'd be working. So there we go. That is indeed for Dolly. That's the one. So we learn from this experiment, kids. This be foobar. But free motor. So do we want to spend $44 and get a new Switch, or check out eBay for a near used, good, partially kind of okay one? I don't know. I suppose what I should do now is just desolder these pieces, and if a new Switch becomes available to look for, I suppose I could look up the model number now, couldn't I? Now that I can be certain that she be the problem. She be BB. Oh, that bit's going to go back on there, doesn't it? That way. So somehow, how does this go back on? Oh, that way. Somehow the magical essence of electrons had escaped this unit. What the? Am I? All right. Hey, I got it. For a second there, I thought I was like some kind of member of a. I'm not going to say it. For some reason, I thought I was even dumber than I give myself credit for, because I couldn't figure out how to line the two holes up with the two pins, and then I realized the pin was for indexing there, and then one's there. So there we go. It's this bit. It's the speed controller. Shibi Fubar. So we'll look out for a new speed controller for it, I guess. And in the meantime, there we go. I have some happy Makita test leads. I will label them as such. And if we don't get another motor, then I guess Scott's Vac Shack is going to acquire another motor to do unspeakable fresh motor things with. And this is meant to go on my camera dolly arm that I hope arrives this week from Amazon, and then I can have it pointing straight down on the bench for future technical misadventures. But anyway, what have we achieved tonight? Well, one Makita blower is fixed. One is suitably disassembled that I can hopefully reinforce it with some epoxy overnight, and then obviously diagnose what the problem was, and I will find another baggie for this shenanigans, and hopefully everything can be restored to working odor, which would be handy. And I think it would go a long way to solidifying my status at work if I can bring back two fixed Makita blowers. And if not, well, she's a blower for home, isn't she? All right. Well, I think that probably wraps it up. The printer's finished. I'll see if it's cooled down sufficiently. It says the bed's 47. Is it enough to? Oh, yeah. It's just try not to break it, James. Hey, it's free. So yeah, in my lovely this this filament. That's the other thing I did say I would say. I said I would say that this filament arrived in a job lot from InkStation, not a sponsor, but if they ever want to, please feel free. InkStation on Friday morning after being ordered Thursday morning. So what had happened is our laser printer had told us that the drum was at the end of its life, and as is my policy with our laser printer, I didn't believe it. So I reset the drum count and it's still printing. But I kind of thought, well, maybe my laser printer was telling me the truth. So I priced a new drum. The printer was $129 in the middle of the 2020 lockdowns around the world. We weren't locked down though. We were being extra cautious though. So the printer was $129. A drum for the printer is $219. So I went on to InkStation. I found an aftermarket drum because I've only ever used aftermarket toner in it anyway. An aftermarket drum, 3 toners that were 2,500 pages each, and 3 kilograms of filament was $164. I clicked order Thursday morning because it was payday. It arrived. I got a message from my wife that it had arrived Friday morning before the end of lesson 1. So before 10 o'clock on Friday morning, it had arrived. This is the new stencil for routing out the pocket in the coffee trays. So let me get a coffee tray and I will attempt to demonstrate and prove my rightness or wrongness. So it is I might need to sand these down a little. It's so close to fitting, and there is a bit of bubbling on the ends and stuff. I think a bit of filing and a bit of sanding and we'll get an accurate fit. But what it will mean in the future is I will just take the measurement off of this and I'll cut these to match. Because there's always a bit of variance. Of course, you can probably, there you go, I can just force it down over and it's on. And it's only bowing up a little bit, but enough that I could then put the router on and go zzz, route that out and then give it a bit of a sand and it's ready to go. And if I moved it up a little bit closer, I could route that out and still have enough there for that channel to either hold it or to have your mobile phone holder so Junior can still watch Peppa Pig and not annoy everyone else at the cafe. So there we go. She works. And she works. So that's excellent, and I can turn the printer off now and give it a rest finally. So I've been quite impressed with InkStation's filaments because, like I said last week, I've been using a lot of eSun filament that I used to buy. I still buy from Cubic Tech. Cubic Tech's at the mercy of Australia Post, which isn't great. And I've got a very reflective forehead. But I'll try and light myself in an interesting way. Oh, that didn't work. I'm gonna get the light out of the way like that. Nope, still in the way. There we go. Now, but they're at the mercy of Australia Post. Australia Post are having a lot of issues with staffing and, paying their staff probably what they earn and having staff getting COVID multiple times. And that's starting to happen here. I think I said last week, I think we've pretty much had on any given day since November 23rd when, borders opened last year, we've essentially had 500 cases steadily every day. Not 500 new cases, but only sort of a plateau of a steady infection rate that has meant we've, at any given time in Bumfudge, there are 500 cases of COVID. And I certainly get to see that through my line of work. And now through social media, friends and mutual acquaintances, we're now seeing people that are getting it second time. So as much as we were quite isolated, the sort of first round of COVID, I think we only had 7 cases, in 2020, when people were really, really scared of it. And then 2021, it started to go up a little bit because there was a bit of travel, and people they weren't encouraged to travel, but they were getting a bit sick of not traveling. So they, borders started to open up with 14-day quarantine and stuff like that. And it sort of leached out. And then by 2020 or end of 2020, the borders opened, and we've just had not really a spike. It sort of went like that. And now it's just, that's our level. And we're in a community that's really reliant on travel to the capital city. So that happens. Anyway, I think that's probably time for me to finish, because it's the caffeination has worked its way through anyway. So I should probably go. But I will keep pricing up a new speed control switch. And if I find one, I shall procure it and see if school wants to pay for it. And if they don't want to pay for it, I might procure it and just, free Makita blower for anyone that wants one. All right, cool. Well, thank you, anyone who is still watching, for watching, or anyone that has watched or tuned in, or maybe I'm just providing background noise while you're making toast or cleaning your shed or something. But you have a good night, and I've got to think of my own way to finish the stream. I don't know what I should say. I like Clive's awkward moment, but I can't just be a copy of him. I've got to be my own person, don't I? So I'll do that. There, like that. Oh, what's that? The Rona is a fickle beast. It is. It's a fickle thing. It can fickle off, though, I think. But that's it. Isn't that what happens? I think the government are at the stage they're like, just go. The government, you know what the government have done? They're like parents at any time about 7 o'clock on Christmas morning. Not 7, 6. Okay, 5 o'clock. Can we get up? Can we get up? No, don't get up, don't get up. And then you just wear them down, and they just go, just go, give me peace. But then, of course, then you get to that stage where your kids are old enough that you have to get up as well, because they want to see that you're excited too. And they go, why are you so excited? And you're like, I'm exhausted. That's me at the moment. Anyway, that's the end of the match. And the score is, that could be a way to end. The score, it'll be like whose line is it? Anyway, that's the end of the game. And the score is coronavirus, 119,994 points, to Makita Coffee Machines, 29,354,000 bananas, which means the Makita Coffee Machine wins. All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. Same time next week, I hope, maybe even on time. Bye. I'll have to do that audio.